Autumn's windy chill strips leaves from trees. They tumble down, down to their death. Death. There we go. Welcome to the Superpilotish channel. My name is Graham Wilson, and today I'll be talking to you a little bit. Today I'll be talking to you about poetry and pilots in my basement. Okay, well, so I figured I'd try to look a little bit more artistic today or something. I don't know. Maybe it shows off the gray hair a little bit more. Oh, well, that's okay. Yeah, so I mean, pilots generally are not interested in poetry at all, and I think part of that is because, like, what does it take to really become a poet? You got to have all that angst. You got to wear black like your soul. I don't know, something like that. And I think no matter, and you got to be broke and young, something like that. So, well, I mean, the pilots are broke, yeah, when they start off and they're young. But I think the problem with pilots not becoming poets is that it's too fun of a job. They're enjoying themselves too much, and they figured, well, I'll get chicks if I become a pilot, rather than, oh, I'll get chicks if I write really cool poetry, man. So I don't know, maybe something like that. And yeah, so but the only real now pilots have been authors in the past. There are quite a few. The ones that come to mind right away is Richard Bach. This guy, he wrote you might have heard Jonathan Livingston Seagull. That was the guy that wrote that book, and Illusions, another good book of his. I got this funny little thing beside my head here. What is that? I don't know. There we go. I was getting a little bit distracted by this can of spray foam back there behind my head. I thought it was my gray hair. But yeah, so hello, Vanessa Kitty. Thanks for coming by. And yeah, so this Richard Bach guy, I've read some of his stuff. A lot of pilots tend to write very autobiographical. I did this, then I did this, then I did this. That's the kind of the way I found Farley Mowat, Canadian author. He was always like, I did this, then I did this, then I did this. And you're reading the book going, you did that? Wow. So that's kind of the way that they pilots are very kind of, they're not really so much in their head, man, just all spaced out. And oh, wow, that's so groovy, man. And then it's like, whoa, here comes the ground. Like, no, you got to like kind of be attuned to your environment, I guess, if you're a pilot. And so the daydreamer people, they don't get their pilot's licenses too much. And then, so who else is another writer that comes to mind? Well, another good read that I did, I mentioned this before, was The Spirit of St. Louis by Charles Lindbergh. And yeah, it was a good read. And there's a few other ones. Bush Pilot with a Briefcase. That was a good one. I think that was about Max Ward, I think. Anyway, this Bush Pilot guy. So, Fate is the Hunter too. That was a good one. I forget who did that. That was cool. And hey, Wrench. Hey, Shecky. Yeah. So, as far as the pilot poets, there's not too many around. But I was thinking, because there was, I forget why, but I was kind of Googling around, and then there was this probably the most famous pilot poet is this guy named John Gillespie McGee Jr. And he died in World War II. He was a Canadian, or he was a member of the Royal Canadian Air Force. And you've heard his poem, High Flight, probably all over the place. I was thinking I could just recite that, man, and dress up like a poet and be all groovy, man. So maybe I'll do that right now, and then I'll talk a little bit about the poet. Okay. Yeah, so here we go. Oh yeah, Ernie Gann, Fate is the Hunter, right? Okay, so here we go. Let's read out a little High Flight, just so you can get an idea about what the poet is thinking back in 1941 when he wrote this. Oh, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter's silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 100 things you have not dreamed of, wheeled and soared and swung. High in the sunlit silence, hovering there, uh, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the wind-swept heights with easy grace where never lark nor ever eagle flew. And while with silent lifting mind I've trod the high on trespass sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God. So, anyways, there we go. That's one little poem, and that was like really big back in the World War II. He, so, what else we got here? I always thought he was Canadian because he was in the Royal Canadian Air Force, but it turns out he was a combination of American and British. So, oh, hey, Mona Moore. She says that I make a fine poet. Well, thank you very much, Mona Moore. And yeah, Mona Moore is kind of the reason I was thinking about poetry today, actually. So, anyways, yeah, so he was not a Canadian, and which is really sad for us Canadians because all the Canadians, like, if we can find somebody that's Canadian, we can always say, he's Canadian. Did you know Brian Adams is Canadian? Corey Hart too. Remember him, Corey Hart, and yeah, Rush is Canadian. Stuff like that. Just because I don't know. I guess we got a, I don't know, we got a some kind of inferiority complex living next to the states or something. But I don't care. So yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, so we thought that John Gillespie McGee was Canadian, but it turns out he was British and American. And so he joined up. What was it? He joined up in 1940. So officially, the United States wasn't in the war till Pearl Harbor in 1941, I think it was. So what a lot of Americans did back then is they would go and join the British Army or British Air Force, Army, stuff like that, because they kind of wanted to help out. Usually they had some kind of English ties and they would join up there. So John Gillespie McGee was one of those guys. And at the time in World War II, lots and lots of people in Canada were just, they were right off the boat from England pretty much. So we had pretty close ties to England. And so there we go. So unfortunately, it destroys my poet heart that he is not Canadian, but that's okay. He was flying a cool Spitfire and it said RCAF on the side, so that's neat. I wonder if the Spitfire was made in Canada. I know we made Hurricanes in Thunder Bay. Oh well, yeah. Here in Windsor, we used to make tank engines at the old Chrysler plant. And so, anyways, yeah, that was about it. And another thing that I was trying to think of about for poetry is that I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Wayne's World, like from way back in I don't know 1990 or so. There was this one thing. There was this one scene there where I think it was that Wayne was there and Garth said something, and he said, "Garth, that was a haiku." And it was like a haiku is a poem that has like 5 syllables in one line, and 7 syllables in the next line, and then 5 syllables in the next line. So if you want to be like you want to be a poet pilot, you can start off with haikus. It's Japanese form. And then when I was at school, there's this guy came in, and I had just watched a rerun of Wayne's World, probably on VHS tape or something like that, DVD maybe. And then so that was fresh in my mind. And this one guy came in, and he said something, and I was like, "Oh, dude, that was a haiku." And then I was like, then I thought about it, and I counted it out, and it was a haiku actually. So because the guy came in and he said, I wrote it down the other day. Yeah, he said, "I'm going flying today because they say I have to go flying." And I went, "Dude, that's a haiku." And then I counted it out, and it's like, yeah, it was. So that was kind of weird. Just a coincidence, I think, more than anything. But yeah, So yeah, and then the thing is, it's like poetry's weird these days. If you've ever read any, they do like slam poetry contests and stuff where people are just like kind of like rapping, and it's all about like the man putting us down or whatever, not allowing me to bring out my inner unicorn or whatever. The rainbows popping out of my ears are offending the man, or yeah, whatever happened to the man? Like everyone, like didn't it? When they're all wearing their black. I didn't have a black beret, but never was in the armored division. But I got a black hat of some description, and so whatever happened to like fighting the man? It's like I was playing guitar the other day. Now I'm totally done with the poet stuff. I'm just gonna babble. I don't care. I got all day, man. So, yeah, and then I was like, what happened to like fighting the man? That was like kind of a 60s thing, I guess. Like I started with like the beatnik look in the 50s. That's what I was trying to get today. And no one cares about the man. It's like the man's putting me down. We got to fight the man. And it's like, well, actually nowadays it's like, well, what is the man? What is a man? I don't even know. So how can we fight him? So it's just kind of weird. I guess, and I was like listening to maybe it's just my age too that I was playing guitar the other day. That when I first got my electric guitar, I tried to play "We're Not Gonna Take It" by Twisted Sister. Man, I remember buying that my album. I bought an album of Twisted Sister, "Stay Hungry." It was in the bargain bin at the record store. It was like, whoa, 99 cents, or it was like $1.99 because it didn't sell really too much. And Dee Snider's looking all. Dee Snider, the singer for Twisted Sister, was tranny before tranny was cool. That's it. That's how cool they were back in the 80s. And so, anyways, they're singing, "We're not gonna take it," and it's like, because that has the easiest guitar solo you could ever play. It's just kind of plink, 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 plink. So I figured if I'm gonna solo, that's the one to start off on. So yeah, there we go. We're not gonna take it. We're fighting the man. We don't like the teachers, and now it's like, I don't know. Somebody text me something to think, or yeah, I don't know what they do these days. These kids these days, now I'm old. So, anyways, that's it for the. We're just doing a little short one here today, and I actually yesterday I was driving around in my car. I was looking. I brought my laptop here, and I was driving around in my car with my laptop, trying to find like free Wi-Fi that was open around the city, and I was thinking like, if you did that in the old days, back in the old days, like people used to drive around and then they download all their nasty porn and stuff like that when they would, they drive around, somebody's wife or somebody's internet was open and they go take care of all their nasty porn stuff. And then people got like arrested for that. And cops came by people's houses. We know you're downloading this stuff. No, I'm not. And then they find some guy in a car with a laptop. Well, I was the guy in the car with the laptop, the guy in the car with the laptop yesterday. And I was trying to go down like by the river because it was cool. And there's no open Wi-Fi there. And I don't feel like paying for a hotspot on a phone or anything like that. Or paying for a phone. So I'm cheap. So yeah. I don't know. You might get a special report one day from like the downtown bus station because it had pretty good Wi-Fi. That's the only place I could find. I haven't gone to the mall yet, but I don't know. But then, yeah, I don't know. I got these other ideas because it was really fun doing it, doing a show in the garage the other day. And I got to change my oil on my motorcycle one of these days too. Oh well, thinking to myself, that's none of your concern. And so I'll just I'll wrap this up a little bit. Oh, today is voting day in Ontario for municipal elections. So I might go take my neighbor. I might call him up, see if he needs a ride down to the polling station. Do that today. It's a beautiful day out. So, anyways, let's see what we got in the chat here, and then we'll just kind of wrap it up quick. Okay. All right. Shecky Pavel is still fighting the man. Keep the good fight, brother. And Wrench appreciates the costume. Costume? What do you mean, man? I'm expressing myself, man. Actually, yeah, it kind of is a costume. So, all right. So that's about it. And thanks everyone for coming in. What else we got here? Eh. Okay, cool. We're gonna shut her down. Oh yeah, today is Monday. So Wednesday. Okay, now on Friday will be the culmination of my memory experiment where I'm gonna do all my cool knots. And we will see if the curve of remembering or the curve of forgetting, depending on what you call it, see if it works. And yeah. Thanks for the compliment on the turtleneck, Monomore. I wore it for a very special someone, you know. Okay, and then okay, what else we got? Wednesday. No idea what I'm doing on Wednesday, but Friday it's gonna be memory time. And that's about it. So you guys go out and have a great day. Thanks for coming by. And it looks like we can shut her down. So thank you for watching. Bye.